Hi, good morning everyone. I hope you're having a great Sunday. Today this is a Sunday special, and that's because I have Dr. Abhay, who's an extremely busy and difficult to get hold of doctor who keeps traveling all over treating patients all across the globe. And I have him today with me in Mumbai at Reset, so I managed to grab onto some of his time to talk about a very important subject that people have been messaging us worldwide. Endometriosis. Now, this is a condition that plagues millions of women across the world. And then you have endometrial, disorders, you have endometrial cancers, you have this condition that affects the period of a woman. It makes it more painful, it leads to infertility, the inability to conceive, painful sex, low libido, like all the issues that women possibly have that they would never want. And why should they have to have that? Well, today you have the medical world that has medication and hormone blockers for all these conditions. We're not here to condemn that. We're not here to say that that's bad, but we're here to talk about simple lifestyle changes that you can make, simple alternatives that you can do to make the condition better. Because there are cases all the time where people live with endometrial disorders, and you don't have to live like that anymore. Sometimes all we need to do is introspect, find out what we're doing wrong in our lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, I'm talking about the food that you eat. I'm talking about the kind of exercise and activity you have in your life. I'm talking about the quality of your sleep. And I'm talking about something which is very important, the state of your emotional health. What's going on in your heart? What's going on in your mind? How your emotions translate into the health of your physical body. So Dr. Abhay treats a lot of my patients all over the world. He's a renowned homeopathic doctor. Now, this is not about homeopathy. This is not about nutrition. This is not about Ayurveda or conventional medicine. This is about what is right for you. You see, there are a lot of people who embrace medicines. It works for some, it doesn't work. Some people do homeopathy, it works great for some, it doesn't work for some. Some people do nutrition. Some nutrition suits some people, some it doesn't. So it's about what suits you, because you see, every individual is unique and different, which means if you have the same medical approach for every condition, it's never going to work effectively because everyone is different. And we see that in cases where some hormone replacement drugs work beautifully for some people, and for some people it creates more harm. The same thing with natural nutrition. Some foods suit people fantastically, and some people it just doesn't suit them at all. So the idea is to understand more and more about how your body works, how your condition is appropriate to your body, and then you take what works for you best, and that is the lifestyle plan that suits you. So Dr. Abhay, over to you. Can you explain to everyone endometriosis? What exactly is happening in their body?
So basically, as you rightly said, that a lot of women nowadays are coming to me with this issue, mainly with painful menses or with infertility or irregular periods and all that. And around 15 to 20% of them, when we try to diagnose, they already have an issue like endometriosis. Now, what essentially happens in endometriosis is that the endometrial lining, which is the lining inside the uterus, which gets shed off during the periods. Now, because of some reason, there are many reasons for it, but because of some reason, this endometrial lining gets impacted in other areas in the pelvis. So you can have an impacted endometrial lining in the ovaries or near the ovaries, near the fallopian tubes, near the intestines. And the interesting part is that, as we know, that the endometrium responds to the estrogen and progesterone. So the monthly cycles are going to have a big impact on this. So whenever a woman gets her cycles, not only the endometrium in the uterus reacts to the response of estrogen and progesterone, but wherever it has impacted, on whichever sites, those sites also react to the hormones, and she will have bleeding like she would have during her periods. So now the periods bleeding will have an outlet, but the endometrial impact, which is there near the ovaries, etc., they keep on bleeding inside, and there's no outlet for this. So eventually there's going to be a lot of inflammation there's going to be repeated infection, there's going to be repeated pain, and all these things keep on happening. And that is one of the reasons why women will not be able to conceive, they'll not be able to have regular periods, they'll have too much of bleeding during periods. So it's a very difficult condition to treat. It's a very bad condition to have, and it's a very difficult condition to treat. So the aim of any treatment, like you already said before, it has to be holistic, because again, it's not just one thing that is going to help the person. There are many things in this. Like you'll have to look at the nutrition. Like for example, we know that in endometriosis there is dominance of estrogen.
Right.
So we need to see and focus on our food and on all the things that we are doing, so that we don't end up having more estrogen in our system. So that's where I think your inputs are very,
Absolutely,
very
and I'd
important.
like to pause you over there because like Dr. Abhay explained, and I'm talking now mainly from endometrial cancer, which is fast growing. It's become like an epidemic. I mean, there are so many women who suffer from endometrial cancer. Again, it's the uncontrollable growth of the endometrial lining outside the uterus. But like Dr. Abhay also pointed out, it involves the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, which is why it involves so many other symptoms that we just spoke about. So again, in my experience, the fuel for this is estrogen, the excess of estrogen in the human body. And while we can choose to continue taking estrogen blockers, which affect almost every other function in the human body, we have to be open to the fact that, there is something called xenoestrogens. These are estrogens that mimic estrogen in the human body. So it's not real estrogen, it's fake estrogen. It's chemically induced estrogen, which we get in the air that we breathe, that we get in so many cosmetic products today. They say an average Indian woman absorbs about 5 kilos of cosmetic chemicals in their body. That's from the perfumes that you use, the creams that you use. We're not here to tell you to stop using that. We're here to tell you to create awareness and tell you that if you must choose a cosmetic, maybe you need to start choosing the right quality cosmetic. Because anything that has, for example, the word parfum in, P-A-R-F-U-M, and any of your top brand perfumes and cosmetics will contain that, right? From sulfates to parabens to whatever. This is going into your skin. This is creating estrogen dominance. The floor cleaners that you use at home to clean your floors, your detergents that you use for your clothes. I know the question is then what do we use going forward? Because, this is all that we do, but that's causing estrogen dominance. And one way to heal endometrial cancers or linings is to stop naturally the production of excess estrogen in the human body. So I'm going to take it over to you, Dr. Abhay. What else do you see as a problem that causes excess estrogen in women today?
Yes, as you rightly pointed, this is one of the important facts. But the other thing is the nutritional deficiencies that we see. A lot of women end up having vitamin B, B12 and B deficiencies. And as you rightly must have experienced, that vitamin B is very, very essential.
Absolutely.
In getting over many problems. So specifically, its role in lowering the estrogen levels is known to the medical science now. And the other thing that vitamin B also does is that it produces the right kinds of prostaglandins.
Right.
So that helps to reduce the inflammation naturally. So these are the things that we really need to take care of. So whether the woman, that's why I said it has to be integrative. We have to look at the nutritional part also. What deficiencies does a woman have? The other thing is also magnesium, which we all know that it has got a very good anti-inflammatory action. So more and more we are seeing that there are these deficiencies even in women who are in the cities and who are supposedly eating the right kind of food, etc., etc. So I think these are the two more important things that go a long way in treating endometriosis.
Exactly, and it's like we always say, it's got to be a root cause analysis. So right now we're talking about nutrition and we're talking about B12, but my next question is on vitamin B. Why are so many people deficient even though they pop supplements? It's because they're not absorbing it well, which brings us down to a very common issue that we're treating every single day, and that is a gut issue. If you have a weak gut, and how do you know you have a weak gut? Constant acidity, burping, belching, flatulence, bloating after your meals. All of these are signs that you have a weak gut. Your bowel movement changes. It's either extreme constipation or too many loose stools throughout the day. If your gut is not working the right way, you're not absorbing B12. You can be popping the best vitamins in the world, but you're not absorbing it, and what you don't absorb cannot work for you in the human body. So sometimes it comes down to something as simple as the deficiency of one vitamin in the human body. And today I think 1 in 3 of my patients, we have a low vitamin B12 level. It's B12 and D3. D3 plays another huge role with the hormone regulation in the human body. You see, vitamin D is not really a vitamin, it's a hormone. It's a precursor hormone to estrogen, progesterone, and everything else. So Dr. Abhay, talk to me about stress, because I know stress has a massive impact on estrogen dominance in a woman. Your views, please.
Yes, yes. Stress obviously, stress obviously triggers a lot of things, and we know that it pumps in more adrenaline, and then the whole hormonal system goes haywire. But stress in any form, it really creates a lot of havoc in the entire system. So what we do in homeopathy, let's say, how do we manage these conditions? So as you said that the homeopathic interview where where we take care of the entire person as a whole, where we try and understand what is leading to the stress. So we try and identify the source, and then we make that person aware of that source, and we also give them a certain medication which will help. So when we talk about endometriosis, there can be specific remedies in homeopathy for endometriosis itself, but giving those specific remedies doesn't work. It really has to be going to the root cause, the stress levels, the nutritional imbalance that they are going through, and then as we know that it is a very individualistic science. So each individual is different, so we need to understand every person's life in that way, and then prescribe based on the entire perception of that person. So we have specific remedies at times which we use, but otherwise we have to use individualistic remedies for those people.
So Dr. Abhay, since you establish a connection between emotional health and endometriosis, which I see all the time with every disease has an emotional connection. Yeah. High blood pressure, cancer, simple back pain, knee pain, hair fall, all of these things. So what kind of emotions in your experience have you seen, which stand out, commonalities and emotions that connect with your cases of endometriosis?
The most important thing that I've seen is that a lot of women these days are, working almost 24/7, and the work that they are doing is not what they were used to as women. So they end up doing jobs which are highly stressful, handling a lot of companies where you see nowadays that they are the heads of those companies are women, and they have to go through a lot of work which they are actually not used to. So this induces a lot of stress, and this induces a lot of hormonal imbalance in them. At the emotional level, again, when the woman works in a particular office, that doesn't end. When she goes back home, she has to again take care of the entire family. So any emotional disturbance in the family itself will also affect the woman. So basically, a lot of stress, a lot of women that come to us have some kind of shock that they have experienced in the past at an emotional level. Maybe it is the death of a near or dear one, maybe it has been a very bad childhood, a traumatic childhood. So all these kind of emotions are there which are suppressed, and then eventually they are expressed in this form. That is what we have seen.
Yeah, that's great. And in no way are we saying that, women should not be successful, women should not lead companies. This is about awareness. This is for you as an individual woman. If you are going through that stress, to realize that it will impact your body. So now it doesn't mean you give up your role as the head of a company, but what else can you do to manage your stress effectively? There are many things like meditation, being in silence, prayer, spirituality, sometimes delegation or not holding on to a problem, acceptance, letting go. So this is not about just women, it's about men as well, because the same thing with men. I mean, the kind of stress that a man would handle decades and decades ago was very different from the kind of stress and the amount of stress that a man handles today. Nothing's changed. The human body, everything is the same, but the amount of stress on both men and women is humongous, and that's why we can see every issue, medical issue that we see today is related to stress in some way. When I say stress, I'm talking about chronic stress. A little bit of stress here and there is good for us. It's good for our immunity. It's good for our reflexes. It's good to motivate us to do what we have to do every single day. We're talking about chronic, deeply rooted emotional stress. And I think almost everyone goes through it in their own way. What we have to be careful of is every human being has found a coping mechanism to manage that stress. For some people it's shopping, for some people it's alcohol, for some people it's cigarettes, for some people it's over socializing. These are coping mechanisms, but it doesn't mean that the stress has gone out of our system and it's not hurting us anymore. So sometimes instead of disguising the problems that we have in life, we got to face it head on and figure out, what do we do about this? How much of it can we accept? How much of it can be let go? Because the more and deeper we push it into our systems, that's what we see in in integrative medicine all the time, that when it starts surfacing and coming out, you see the condition and the ailment getting better, because physical health it cannot be treated alone. You have to look at the spiritual side of the person, the intellectual side of the person, the mental and the emotional side of the person as well. So to be honest with you, Dr. Abhay, I didn't understand homeopathy. I still don't understand homeopathy until I came across you and found that we were working on similar cases, and I realized the magic there is. I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of people who are skeptical about homeopathy, they're skeptical about Ayurveda, they're skeptical about lifestyle, nutrition, and even mainstream medicine. But that's not the thing. We have to understand today that when you're sick or you know someone who's sick, okay, what is important is the best interest of that person. Whether it takes conventional medicine, whether it takes a little bit of homeopathy, whether it takes nutrition, counseling, Ayurveda, there is no system that is better than either one in the world. Homeopathy is not the best system in the world. Ayurveda is not the best system in the world. Nutrition may not be the best system in the world. Mainstream medicine is not the best system in the world. It's not about what is best. It is about what is effective for that person with that condition. Because everyone is individual. For some people, mainstream medicine may be the best. For some people, it may be homeopathy. So we have to stop, break away from this mindset about, what is best for me. The question should be, what is effective for me? What is effective for my condition? And that's when we see the healing happening. That's when we see prevention happening. And that's when we see people healing with the least amount of side effects. So technically, Dr. Abhay, before we end, for people going on with endometrial issues, what would be your word of advice to them? Where would you ask them to start looking at, in their life to start making this better?
The first thing that people should understand is, as you rightly said, integration is key. Yeah. Because you'll have to try and find out what suits you the best. You'll have to try and identify the stress levels that you're having, the food habits that you are onto, and then you'll have to take it and you'll have to really find out your solution for yourself. So maybe, as you rightly said, you may need to go to a doctor, allopathic doctor, to get it diagnosed or whatever. But once it is diagnosed, you have a wide range of things that you can do, and integration is the key. You will need to discover what is good for you. So you have a healer within. Each one of us has a healer within, and it's just a matter of stimulating that healer within us to get persistent results. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's well put. And I think we should all understand that when people say that, certain conditions, we're not here to say that, everything can be cured in the human body. But what we're here to say is that, like Dr. Abhay rightly said, there's a healer in everyone. And what can we do to tap that natural healing? That's an intelligence that every human being has. And we don't look at that intelligence. We don't see how we can harness the intelligence and power of your own body. We become reliant on chemicals and drugs, which we know is only treating the symptom. And, once that mindset changes and we see, take the best of medicine, take the best of allopathy, take the best of whatever suits you and makes you feel good, that's when we see a change in health evolving. And that is going to be the way of the future, integrative medicine, using the best of everything around you, to heal and to prevent disease.
So there's not just one pill that does the magic.
There's no magic pill. I'm yet to see that. Have you ever seen a magic pill in your...
No.
Yeah, would you call your homeopathic pill a magic pill?
If applied
the right way,
it is.
Yeah, as a nutritionist, I don't have a magic spice or a magic food that's going to take away your cancer or your diabetes. Absolutely not. It's multifactorial. That magic factor is in your body. And if we tap the right, it's like putting a puzzle together. Like right now, when you don't have good health, it's the pieces of the puzzle in your body are all over the place. That's why I call health an art. It's a science, but it's an art. How do you put this together? Today, when you look at heart surgery, it's needed. It's saving lives. But, we don't look at the body holistically. We just look at a heart problem in the heart. We don't understand
the emotions behind it. That hypertension today is linked with your chronic kidney disease, with the onset of diabetes. So we look at diabetes with high sugar levels and low sugar levels, and that's all. We don't look at the health of the pancreas, which is what produces insulin in the human body. We get a knee pain, we just think about, how to take away that knee pain, replacement surgeries, all of that stuff. We don't understand that there is a muscle around that, there's a cartilage around that. That in turn is connected with your lower back, with your, calf muscle. And when you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, you understand the root cause of your problem. And when you understand the root cause of the problem, then you address that root cause of that problem. Now that address may be allopathy, it may be homeopathy, it may be nutrition, or you may just figure out the lifestyle changes that you have to make
and take away the problem on your own.
That awareness, that is essential, that I need to take one step ahead and do something about it.
Yeah,
That itself.
I can tell you one thing. If you're that person out there who thinks you have the best doctor in the world, and you may have full respect for that, and you think that that one pill or that medication is going to solve your life problems for you, you are highly mistaken. It may solve your symptom for a month and 2 and 3 or 4, but you got to get to the root cause of what it is, and that is your responsibility. That is not the responsibility of your doctor. The thing is, what I notice in India today, I'll talk about only India right now, when people get a doctor, they transfer the entire responsibility and accountability of their health onto that doctor, saying that, listen, I'm paying you money, you fix me. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way.
Yes,
You've got to take accountability and responsibility for your own health. You're not a product that can be bought. This is not a money exchange. This is health care. This is not sick care. It's health care. It's not a business. It's not customer service. There is a lot that you have to do to make your life better. And your doctors and your professionals and medical experts are the people who instrument that change in you. But if you don't make that change, you're not going to heal. It's as simple as that. So we got to take accountability and responsibility as well. So if stress is your trigger, you got to be working on stress. You shouldn't be looking at a diet plan. If your dietary habits are a problem, that's where you put 80% of your focus on your diet. But if your root cause is stress and you know it, you should be putting 100% of your focus on making stress better in your life. And it's possible. Everyone's doing it. The only person stopping it is you, your mind, your fear, and your insecurity. It's easy for me to sit here and say that, but all of us go through it.
Yes.
All of us. I go through fear. I go through insecurity. I don't know about you, doctor, as well. We're human beings.
Managing better.
Absolutely. We just got to keep evolving on our own journey. So everyone goes through it. So if you think you're the only person going through it, sometimes we got to shift out of victim mode and understand that everyone around you, even the people who appear the happiest in front of you,
Yes.
have problems and they're dealing with it. So we got to rise above the fact that, we're the only people suffering all the time, and we got to be strong and move forward if we want to truly heal. So Dr. Abhay, thank you for joining us. Every time he's in Mumbai, we're going to try to drag him in because, he's marvelous when it comes to hormonal issues, PCOD. There's magic. I know how much food can do, and then when I see how much of his practice can actually heal the patient, it just reinstates our belief in integration, getting the best of everything to treat or heal the patient. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep. Thank you, Dr. Abhay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.